Leaders are speaking up on the structure of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, and what needs to be done. Governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, believes you cannot throw away the child with the bathing water. And the Nigerian military has warned against any troublemaker planning to disturb the peaceful procession of End SARS protesters across the country. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbaloye. We now know for sure when the next presidential election will hold. Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, the INEC chairman, said the next presidential poll will hold on the 18th of February 2020. Professor Yakubu was at the parliament today where the House of Representatives says that they're determined to come up with a constitution that would address most of the current challenges facing the country. The review process is coming 855 days to the next general election, which is scheduled for 18 February 2023, and the electoral body wants the lawmakers to expedite action on the amendments to the Electoral Act. Well, the NSAS protests continue in many parts of the country today, and it has entered the day 9 of the street demonstrations by Nigerian youth. A few disturbances here and there we've seen in Lagos, for example, where the protesters were attacked by thugs brandishing machetes and other harmful tools. But the Nigerian army has issued a warning against persons planning to disturb the processions of the protesters or anyone planning trouble within this period, and they want them to desist from such acts. The army said it remained committed to defending the country and democracy at all costs. But then, the governor of Plateau State and the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum went to see the president today at the presidential villa, and afterwards he said, it will be good to reform the police, yes, but disbanding them, according to him, might have consequences, as some states are beneficial of the services of the police unit SARS. He said it won't be good to throw away the baby with the bathing water. Well, then we'll get to hear the governor of Plateau State on his reaction to what the northern governors, the 19 governors of the north, what their stance is after he met with the president today. Tonight, we shall be looking at the way forward and the plans of Nigeria's governors in the different states. I'm being joined on the program tonight by the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, is also the governor of Ekiti State. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Governor Fayemi, for joining us tonight. Let's begin the conversation. I mean, it has gone beyond pockets of protest. This has become a large-scale demonstration by young Nigerians and are asking for the reformation of the Nigerian police force, especially the arm involved in the special anti-robbery operations. But from the governor's point of view, what are your next line of action?
Thank you very much, the NSAS movement, which has been propelled by the disaffection generally felt by the younger people and many Nigerians, for that matter. It's something that is commendable in the sense that it has also led to a clear position being taken by the police authorities. We met with the Inspector General of Police yesterday. The governors of the 36 states held a meeting with the Inspector General of Police, and we endorsed his commitment to reforming the police as an institution, which is really what the NSAS movement are calling for. That's really what is propelling the action they are taking. However, governors feel that the way to go about that is not to condemn in totality all activities of the FSAS. As a matter of fact, my colleagues from the northern parts of the country feel that FSAS has been quite effective in tackling banditry, in addressing armed robbery, and even in some cases, as the governor of Borno State made clear in our meeting yesterday, in assisting in dealing with the problems of insurgency. So we must be careful because there is no one-size-fits-all solution to the challenges of insecurity in our country. We need a broad security architecture to tackle this, and the reform of the police must be part of that reform of the Nigerian security architecture. And one of the decisions we took yesterday is that those who have been found culpable of human rights abuse and violations within the FSAS unit must be brought to book. And in every state, we also agreed that we should put in place commissions of inquiry to enable people ventilate their criticisms and concerns, and also specific acts of violations of human rights could be brought before such commissions of inquiry at the state level. But over the long term, we feel that we still need more conversations, more consultations, and the Nigerian Police Council, which is a statutory body of the Constitution, must meet more regularly because that's part of its responsibility to regulate the activities of the police, in addition to ensuring that the Nigerian police really and truly protect the citizens. And the Inspector General of Police expressed his own commitment to that in his meeting with us yesterday.
Governor Fayemi, if you look at what some of these young Nigerians are saying, some of them said they felt embarrassed that 2 days or a day after they asked for the disbandment of SARS, what they got was somewhat what you can call a rechristening of that unit, and now called SWAT. And they are saying outrightly they do not want it. So we've now found ourselves chasing not one hashtag, two hashtags now. Hashtag NSAS started. Now we have hashtag NSWAT. So it does look like what the Nigerian youths want is more than what the Nigerian government is bringing to the table. Where do you go from here as a leader when they said we do not want the manner in which an approach of the government in tackling these issues?
Well, so actually, it's not just the young people who felt that the swiftness of replacing FSAS with F12 might be seen as precipitate. We also observed similarly in the meeting we held with the Inspector General of Police yesterday. However, every single issue brought about by our young protesters has been responded to by Mr. President in his speech and by the Inspector General of Police in its action. Are these adequate? Not necessarily. And that is why it's important that we engage and get to the bottom of this. This is, in my view, not just an NSAS or NSWAT movement. I think there is a sense in which our younger people are telling us that they have concerns about the quality of governance that they are getting. And it looks like it's a shifting goalpost. Once one issue is dealt with, then they then move to another aspect that might be of concern to them. And let's face it, these are young people. Some of us have been young and have been involved in movement on the barricades. So there's nothing that they're doing that is fundamentally wrong. Any young person should be involved in movement for change. And that, I think, is what they are asking for. However, in asking for change, they must be careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's not everything that is bad with policing. However, policing has to be more accountable and more transparent in its operations to the citizens. There's no question about that. And I think that message has been delivered loud and clear. And the president has demonstrated that he is responsive to the concerns expressed by the younger ones. And the Inspector General of Police has also, in my view, expressed commitment to reform. And we need to just go into the nitty-gritty details of that reform. What should it entail? What does it really mean? How do we get accountability mechanisms in place beyond just what is on offer currently?
Governor Fayemi, if you look at it, you did mention something earlier where you said it does look like it's so many things that are being brought to the table. This looks to me like a socio-political agitation. Issues of governance have also been brought to the fore by some of the protesters. It does look like they're calling out the political class in the country over the activities and the manner in which the country is being run. Does this signal something for you? Is it something that you're familiar with? Because I know that when you were younger, Governor Fayemi, you were on the street, you were an agitator also for reforms in the country. Does this signal something for you? Does this ring a bell to you that maybe there is some kind of political revolution in the offing?
Well, absolutely. I was on the streets. I was at the barricades. I protested for change. I was involved in anti-military, pro-democracy activism. And I would like to think that my involvement in politics is still an extension of what I did in those days. I don't see myself any less an activist now that I'm a politician. So there's nothing wrong in what the younger ones are doing. I think we ought to even encourage them to ask more questions, to put our feet to fire, to hold us more accountable. They elected us to office, and there's no question that we should be responsive and responsible to those who put us in office. However, in doing that, I think it's also important for them to be absolutely clear about what they want. It shouldn't just be agitation for its own sake, but agitation with a purpose to getting results. And I hope this leaderless movement can become more organized, more cohesive in putting their views strongly across the table and even getting more involved. We can't ignore them. 65% of the population of this country is under 30. So it is a serious segment of our population, and we must pay attention to what they're telling us as political leaders.
Dr. Fayemi, just in a few seconds before we go on our break on the program, does this also point out the fact that you and your colleagues in the Southwest are already talking about Motekun? You have already initiated that idea, and it's part of the restructuring, the larger restructuring agenda your party has promised through federalism and how, your manner in which you want to handle the issue of restructuring. Do you think that this is a major issue which needs to be looked at? Just in a few seconds before we go on break.
This is certainly a critical moment for our country. We need to listen to what is coming out on the street. Security should be brought closer to the citizen. And if it means decentralizing, devolving authority to the local levels, then so be it. The Inspector General of Police has already committed himself to community policing. But what exactly does that mean in terms of command and control? What these young people are saying is that they don't want police brutality. They don't want police that is unaccountable to the citizens. And they don't want young people to be criminalized simply on account of their looks or the phones they carry or the cars they drive or the way they speak. And I actually absolutely associate myself with that, and a lot of my colleagues do as well. But we must be careful. In areas where FSAs are efficient and effective, we should really let them continue to do the work. And virtually all my colleagues from the northern part of the country who spoke at our meeting yesterday testified to the effectiveness of SARS in their part of the country. And I really think that reform that we're talking about should be looked at on a case-by-case basis. It should not be a one-size-fits-all response to the challenges of insecurity that we have.
Governor Fayemi, please stay with us for a moment. We'll take a break. But when we come back, also, we get some expert views on how to resolve this issue. Dr. Fayemi also has knowledge in war affairs. So probably it will be giving some solutions on how to go. I have Mr. Mike Ejiofor. He's a retired SSS director. He will be talking to us on his views on the way forward for Nigeria. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get back to the conversation. Governor Kayode Fayemi, governor of Ekiti State, and the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, has been giving us this thought and the thought of the governors of the 36 states on the way forward for Nigeria. Let's get your concluding thought. Don't forget also, everyone, that we have Mr. Mike Ejiofor. He's a retired director of the DSS. Thank you so much, Mr. Ejiofor. But let me get the concluding moment with thought of the governor of Ekiti State. Governor Fayemi, if you can give us a sense of where to, how to go about this and where to go from here, because it then looks so much that there is an urgent need for solution. And a political party have come out to say today that the solution is to restructure Nigeria. Do you think that is apt as of now?
Well, you know, restructuring has become a fad. Everybody talks about restructuring, but you really need to find out precisely what they mean by that. If by restructuring, that political party is talking about devolution of power and authority, as well as revenue and resources to lower levels of government, then that may be one option that we look at. But specifically on policing, what I do know as a fact is that there is no federation in the world that has a unitary police force. I have studied policing across continents, not just countries. Whether you talk of Australia, or you talk of India, or you talk of Canada, or the United States, or even in some unitary republics, you still have policing devolved to the lower level and to the local level for accountability, for proximity to the issues, and for transparency of the force. And I think we ought to be looking in the direction of ensuring that policing becomes a concurrent issue. We continue to maintain our federal police, which is the Nigerian police force, but we also have devolved policing arrangements so that they become more accountable at the local level, and these issues can be addressed much more at the local level. It is commendable that in our constitution we have the Nigerian Police Council, which is the equivalent of the Nigerian Judicial Council. But the Nigerian Police Council has not been performing the function it ought to perform, because it has all the 36 governors of the state in its composition and the president. And I think we ought to be looking at it, meeting more regularly, maybe quarterly, as a regulatory authority for the activities of the police. And we can start with that and then move in the direction of further devolution of policing.
Governor Kayode Fayemi, chairman of the Governors Forum, thank you indeed for your time and at least giving some clarity on some of the position of Nigeria's governors tonight. Thank you so much indeed for talking to us.
Thank you, Seun, for having me.
Thank you. Let's go to our Abuja studio now with Mr. Mike Ejiofor, and let's get some expert opinion on a way to go. It does look like there will be implication on the demands by the young Nigerians. They are insistent on what they want. But if you look at what is happening on the government side of things, how would you assess the way and manner things are being tackled so far, Mr. Ejiofor?
Yes, Sean, thank you for having me. And I must tell you that the situation now is ominous. The signs are ominous. The situation is fluid. It can't be defined. Like the chairman of the Governors Forum was talking about, just a few minutes ago, you see some of the northern governors have come out with a communique that they still want SARS instead of the new start. Now, the responsibility of maintenance of internal security lies squarely on the police. And the IG, the Inspector General of Police, knows how best to manage the security in the country, because police is statutory body charged with maintenance of internal security. So the federal government has come up with the disbandment of SARS, and I think we should let it be. And a new body has been set up by the Inspector General of Police, a new tactical command that issue a tactical team that should be intelligence-driven, not coercive, not pursuing the people like the SARS. We agree that there are some people, there are some good people, all of them cannot be bad. But the fact remains that the atrocities of SARS far outweigh the good they have done. And the IG has maintained that anybody who was involved in SARS should not be recruited in this, so that he will start on a fresh slate. I think that's the way to go. On the part of the youths demonstrating, I want to appeal that they should exercise restraint, because police has been very civil in its approach to quell this situation. And you know that some other people would likely hijack it. So my appeal is that, first of all, they should give the police a few weeks where there are no results. Then they can go back to the street. But for us to continue this way is going to continue to disturb the peace of the... If law-abiding citizens cannot go about their businesses, and I think it's very, very worrisome and disturbing.
Mr. Ejiofor, a lot of the time that we've seen this kind of protest, we've seen actions, and perhaps it's not out of place when these young people are saying, we want actions. We don't want to go back home and discover the following day that nothing has happened. But the government has said there is a disbandment of SARS, but we now have SWAT. They say they do not want that. But if you were the president today, what would you do differently?
I will maintain that SARS has been disbanded and get a new tactical team that has been set up by the police. Let's give it a try. You know, why the youths are even disturbed is that on several occasions, government has come up with the issue of disbandment and the prescription of SARS, only for them to come back. So I think this is a new era, a new slate with which we can start and give a trial to let them exercise restraint, because lives have been lost both on the part of the police and the civilians. Some people have hijacked this, so I think it's not necessary. It is good we exercise restraint. We want to, I'm talking to you, talking to all Nigerians, because I am affected as a security analyst, affected as a Nigerian, and we should all come together. Nigeria belongs to all of us. This discordant tune from all the various segments is not helping issues, and it's quite disturbing.
In 30 seconds, so that we can wrap up the program, Mr. Ejiofor, what over in America, the issue of police brutality against citizens or racial issue have come up over and over again. This issue of SARS is not the first time this is happening. They are also bringing issues of governance. What do you think, politically speaking, should be done once and for all to resolve some of the major problems that we are facing in the country, even beyond the issue of police? In 30 seconds, Mr. Ejiofor.
why I'm still appealing to our youths is that, first of all, they say end SARS. SARS has been ended. They now say end start, that they don't want it. Who knows if after this one, they will ask for another thing. And I don't want politicians, opposition to go and hijack this situation. That's my fear. And I think we should just go the right way.
Mr. Mike Ejiofor, former director of the DSS, thank you indeed for talking to us tonight, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Man, thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye-bye.